If you open Google Maps and look at Australia, you'll see Australia's largest lake, Kati Thanda-Lake Eyre. Just an 8-hour drive down the highway from Adelaide, you're met with a stunning expanse of light blue salt flats. Okay, but what about these other lakes? Salt flats. These ones? Salt flats. Surely not all of these massive lakes. Salt flats. So why is this lake coloured so tantalisingly blue on Google Maps? Kati Thanda, as it's known by the Arabana people, or Kati Thanda-Lake Eyre as its current official name, is in the middle of the South Australian outback, a desert region of Australia with very little rainfall and massive evaporation. In fact, the local rainfall is just 140 millimetres per year, compared to an evaporation rate of 2.5 metres per year. Of course, the lake is fed from a basin, not just from local rainfall, but still the waterways all flow through the desert, so only a tiny amount of rain that is caught in the basin flows into the lake before it too is evaporated. Just like I've done, Kati Thanda-Lake Eyre is often portrayed in the media as a barren salt flat that fills with floodwaters just 3 or 4 times every 100 years. When it does flood, the lake becomes an oasis in the desert. It's meant to be spectacular, becoming a haven for birds in the otherwise arid environment. But while a full Lake Eyre is rare, this doesn't mean the lake is dry all the time. In fact, it frequently has shallow water in its deepest parts. Here's a satellite image from just last month that shows moisture in the lake. And on a time lapse of the last 40 years, you can see there's often water in the lake, even though it's definitely not full. But the fact remains that while Google colours the lake a beautiful hue of light blue, for the most part, the lake is predominantly dry and not the stunning wetland that the colour suggests, or that it can ephemerally be just a few times per century. And of course, there are other lakes around the world that get the same blue washing treatment. Here's Sevier Lake in Utah, for example, and whoops, there you go, another dry lake bed. And it seems like this lake has water even less often than Kati Thanda-Lake Eyre. Apple Maps uses a white colour to show the salt flats, which is of course more accurate most of the time, but doesn't really do Lake Eyre justice because there often is a bit of water in the deepest parts. So what is the solution? I personally like the simple dashed outline that some maps like Natural Earth 2 uses. It very much conveys there could be a lake, but mostly dry reality. Now, don't get me wrong, I think digital maps like Google Maps are awesome. I love that you can cruise around the globe, satellite view anywhere, street view lots of different places, but I do think it's a bit funny that the colouring of these lakes on Google Maps is reminiscent of a lush wetland, but on arrival, you're most likely met with dry salt flats as far as the eye can see. And just to absolutely hammer home this point one more time, just looking at this map, there is absolutely no way of knowing, unless you check the satellite photos, that this blue spot is a 63-metre deep reservoir with vibrant woodlands and a diverse array of birds, and this blue spot is a mostly dry salt bed. Of course, all maps serve a particular purpose, and Google's is to highlight roads and cities. But with such ubiquitous usage around the world, I think it would be good if it could more accurately display the environment too. Anyway, Lake Eyre is blue on Google Maps, but is most often mostly a salt flat in the desert. That's the kind of thing that bounces around in my brain until I get it out in this format. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.